Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear me, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because what I'm about to say isn't just information, it's transformation. You must control your mind. Let me tell you why. You see, the greatest battle you will ever fight isn't in the boardroom. It's not in your workplace. It's not even out there in the world. The greatest battle is between your ears and your mind. Because your mind can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. And for too many people, it's become their jailer. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself talking yourself out of a dream? You had a vision. You were excited. You wrote it down. You imagined yourself doing it. Then suddenly, that inner voice whispers, "Who do you think you are? You don't have the education. You don't have the money. You don't have what it takes." Sound familiar? That voice is not the world. It's you. That voice has been programmed by fear, by rejection, by past failures, by the opinions of people who never built anything. But here's the good news. If that voice was programmed, it can be reprogrammed. That's why I'm telling you, you must control your mind. Because when you control your mind, you control your thoughts. When you control your thoughts, you control your emotions. When you control your emotions, you control your actions. And when you control your actions, you control your destiny. Let me tell you a story. There was a man down on his luck, lost his job, lost his confidence, lost his way. One day he walks past a construction site and sees two men working. He asks the first, "What are you doing?" The man, sweaty and tired, grunts, "I'm laying bricks." Then he asks the second man the same question. That man, with a smile on his face and pride in his eyes, replies, "I'm building a cathedral." Same job, same work, different mindset. One man saw a burden, the other saw a blessing. One man was surviving, the other was creating. That's the power of perspective. That's the power of the mind. So let me ask you, what story are you telling yourself? Because the story you tell yourself will shape your reality. If you keep telling yourself you're a failure, you'll walk like a failure, talk like a failure, and act like a failure. Even if success is right around the corner. But if you tell yourself, "I was born for something great," if you tell yourself, "I can, I will, and I must," if you tell yourself, "This pain has a purpose," then you begin to walk differently, talk differently, fight differently. You've got to fight for your mindset. You've got to stand guard at the gate of your thoughts. Because every single day, negativity is knocking. Doubt is knocking. Fear is knocking. And if you let them in, they will redecorate the entire house. But if you wake up with intention, if you feed your mind before the world feeds it for you, if you meditate, pray, affirm, read, and surround yourself with voices that lift you, you win the day. I'm not saying it's easy. Life will hit you with things you never saw coming. You'll get knocked down. You'll face heartbreak, betrayal, failure. But your power is not in avoiding those punches. Your power is in how you respond. And that response, it comes from the mind. You must tell yourself, "This is not how my story ends." You must tell yourself, "I may be down, but I'm not out." You must tell yourself, "This situation is not bigger than me. I'm bigger than this situation." Control your mind and you control your reactions. Control your reactions and you control your life. Some of you are waiting for motivation. Let me tell you the truth. Motivation is not the key. Discipline is. And discipline comes from a decision to stop letting your feelings drive the car and start letting your vision drive it. Feelings are temporary. Vision is permanent. So even when you don't feel like it, you get up. Even when you're scared, you try. Even when you fail, you learn. Why? Because your mind is trained. Your mind is under new management now. You're not a prisoner of your past. You're the architect of your future. Listen to me. Greatness doesn't come from comfort. Growth doesn't come from safety. The life you want isn't handed to you. It's forged in the fire of daily choices, daily discipline, daily mind control. You have something special inside you. And it doesn't matter what your past says. It doesn't matter where you started. What matters is what you believe, because what you believe shapes what you become. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. But act like you can, train like you can, and nothing will be able to stop you. Let the world call you crazy. Let them doubt you. Let them laugh. But you keep building. You keep growing. You keep controlling your mind, because the mind is the steering wheel of your life. And if you don't grab hold of it, someone else or something else will. Take control, lock in, and never forget, the power is not out there. It's in here. And when you learn to control your mind, you can conquer anything. Everything you do, every decision you make, every action you take begins in the mind. The mind is the engine room of your life. It is the command center that determines your direction, your strength, and your limits. If you don't take control of your mind, something or someone else will. Life doesn't give you the luxury of being neutral. Either you program your mind or the world programs it for you. Most people go through life on autopilot. They wake up reacting, not directing. They respond to the news, to their surroundings, to the opinions of others. Their minds are open doors for fear, doubt, and negativity to walk in uninvited and make themselves at home. And once those thoughts settle in, they begin to influence everything: confidence, actions, relationships, and ultimately results. You can't live a powerful life with a powerless mind. Think about it. You were born with no limitations in your thinking. But somewhere along the way, voices began to shape you. You can't do that. That's impossible. Be realistic. These voices came from parents, teachers, peers, society, and before long, they became your inner voice. Not because they were true, but because they were repeated. Repetition creates belief. That belief creates identity, and identity controls destiny. But here's the truth. The same way your mind was programmed, it can be reprogrammed. The mind is not fixed. It is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows with intentional training. Controlling your mind starts with recognizing that your thoughts are not facts. Just because a thought enters your head doesn't mean it belongs there. You have the right, no, the responsibility to reject what doesn't serve you. Controlling your mind means being deliberate with what you feed it. If you feed your mind junk, gossip, drama, negativity, distractions, then you will produce emotional and mental garbage. But if you feed it truth, wisdom, purpose, gratitude, vision, then your mind will produce strength, clarity, and focus. Just like your body reflects what you eat, your life reflects what your mind consumes. It's not enough to just think positive when life is falling apart. Controlling your mind is not about denial. It's about discipline. It's about being able to stand in the storm and say, I'm not giving in to panic. I choose to be calm. I choose to believe in my power. I choose to keep going. That level of mental control is not a switch. It's a skill. It takes practice. It takes failing and getting back up again. But it is the most powerful weapon you will ever build. You can't afford to let your emotions run your life. You can't afford to let other people write your narrative. You have dreams to fulfill. You have purpose to live. And none of that is possible if your mind is stuck in survival mode. A mind that is not controlled is easily distracted, easily defeated, and easily manipulated. This is why some people have all the talent, all the resources, and still go nowhere. Because the mind is not aligned with the mission, they sabotage their own progress. because they never learn how to master their thoughts. On the other hand, there are people who come from nothing, who were told they'd never make it, and they rise, not because life was easy, but because they refused to let their mind be a prison. They trained it to be a weapon. Controlling your mind means being intentional about your self-talk. It means catching yourself when the doubt creeps in and replacing it with truth. It means visualizing success even when your situation looks like failure. It means leading your thoughts, not following them. Your internal dialogue is the script that shapes your life. Every day, whether you're aware of it or not, you're narrating your own story, defining who you are, what you're capable of, and what your future looks like. And the dangerous thing is, most people never stop to question that story. They live their lives under the influence of a narrative they didn't even choose. A narrative written by past pain, by failures, by other people's doubts, by circumstances that were never supposed to define them. The story you tell yourself is more powerful than any outside opinion. It becomes the filter through which you see the world and interpret your experiences. When your story is built on fear, you will find reasons to be afraid, even when nothing is wrong. When your story is built on strength, you will find opportunities even in the middle of struggle. Your perception becomes your prison or your passport. It either keeps you stuck or pushes you forward. It starts small, you fail once, and your story becomes, I'm not good at this. Someone rejects you and your story becomes, I'm not worthy. You get disappointed and suddenly the story says, nothing good ever happens to me. And if you repeat that story enough, it becomes a belief. That belief begins to shape your actions. You stop trying. You stop believing. You accept a version of life that's far smaller than what you're capable of. The mind is always listening. It's listening when you speak out loud, but more importantly, it's listening when you speak within. That quiet voice, the one that whispers when no one else is around, that voice is the author of your life. That voice must be trained, because if you don't take control of the story will take control of you. Think about how a simple shift in narrative can change everything. A person loses their job. One story says, this is the end, I'm a failure. Another story says, this is a chance to reinvent myself. I'm being redirected. Same event, different story, completely different outcome. One spirals into depression, the other rises into transformation. The difference isn't the circumstance, it's the story. You must tell yourself a story that lifts you, a story that pushes you forward, a story rooted in truth, not fear, not fantasy, truth. And the truth is, you have survived things that were meant to break you. You've overcome situations you never thought you'd make it through. You've got more strength than you give yourself credit for. That's the kind of story that changes lives. That's the kind of story that fuels resilience, courage, and growth. When you tell yourself, I am capable, I am prepared, I am worthy, your actions begin to line up with that identity. You speak differently, you show up differently, you walk into rooms with a different energy. People respond to the energy of your belief. But if the story in your mind is small, even your biggest blessings will feel out of reach. You will find ways to shrink back, to disqualify yourself, to sabotage the opportunities that are already waiting for you. The key is not to wait for success to tell a better story. You must start telling the story now before the evidence shows up. Speak it, believe it, live it. Because the more you tell the right story, the more your life will rise to meet it. You don't need permission to rewrite the narrative. You don't need validation from the world. The only approval you need is your own. You are the author. You are the voice. You hold the pen. And with every thought, every word, every belief, you are writing the future you will one day live. Motivation feels good. It's the rush you get when you hear a powerful speech, the excitement that fills you after setting a new goal, the fire that burns in your chest when you dream about what's possible. But motivation is temporary. It fades. It disappears when things get hard, when you're tired, when the results don't come fast enough. That's why you can't build a life, a career, or a legacy on motivation alone. You need discipline, the daily decision to show up no matter how you feel. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's setting the alarm and getting up when the bed is warm. It's hitting the gym when your body is sore. It's working on your goals when everyone else is out relaxing. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't seek attention. It just moves. Steady, focused, relentless. That's what makes it powerful. Because while motivation starts the race, discipline finishes it. People often wait for the perfect moment to act. They wait to feel inspired, to feel ready, to feel confident. But if you wait to feel like it, you'll never do it consistently. You'll have flashes of brilliance and long stretches of regret. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It demands action. It creates structure, and structure builds habits. Those habits, done day after day, shape your future more than any emotion ever could. Think of the greatest achievers in the world: athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, leaders. Do you think they were motivated every day? No. They were disciplined. They trained when they didn't want to. They practiced when no one was watching. They failed, adjusted, and kept going. Not because they felt like it, but because they were committed. That's the difference. Motivation is about emotion. Discipline is about commitment. When you rely on discipline, you don't negotiate with your goals. You don't argue with your alarm clock. You don't ask yourself, do I feel like it today? The answer is always the same. Do it anyway, because the price of discipline is far less than the cost of regret. Regret is heavy. It keeps you up at night. It whispers, you could have done more. Discipline clears that voice. It gives you peace, not just progress. Discipline also creates freedom. Most people think discipline is restriction, but it's the opposite. Discipline gives you control. When you're disciplined with your time, your energy, your habits, you create space for what really matters. You stop wasting energy on indecision and distractions. You move with clarity. You know what needs to be done and you do it. That kind of focus is rare and it's powerful. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you build mental toughness. You prove to yourself that you can be counted on, not just when things are easy, but when things are hard. And that self-trust is everything. Because when life throws challenges at you, motivation may run, but discipline stands firm. Discipline doesn't break. It bends. It adapts, but it doesn't quit. The best part is, discipline is a choice. You don't have to be the smartest, the most talented, or the most connected. If you can control your actions, if you can master your habits, if you can do the hard thing repeatedly, you will outlast the people who only rely on bursts of motivation. You will build a foundation that storms can't shake. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. It turns intentions into accomplishments. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting, but it's consistent. It shows up, and over time, it wins every single time. Pain visits everyone. It's part of life, part of growth, part of the human experience. You can't avoid it. Pain shows up through failure, through rejection, through loss, through the moments where things don't go as planned. But what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck isn't the pain itself. It's the mindset they carry through the pain. Because pain, by nature, is passing. But your mindset, the way you interpret, respond, and rise, that lasts far beyond the moment. There are people who went through heartbreak and never recovered, not because the pain was too great, but because they chose to replay the story again and again. And there are others who faced the same heartbreak, felt it deeply, cried their tears, and used it as fuel to rebuild a stronger version of themselves. The pain didn't define them. Their mindset did. Pain doesn't leave scars. It's the mindset that decides whether those scars become reminders of defeat or symbols of strength. You can't control what hurts you, but you can control what it teaches you. Some people go through a storm and come out bitter. Others go through the same storm and come out better. The difference isn't what happened. It's how they thought about what happened. Your mindset is the lens through which you process every experience. With the wrong mindset, every setback feels like the end. With the right mindset, every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Pain will whisper lies. It will try to convince you that you're not enough, that it will never get better, that you should quit. And if your mind is untrained, you'll start to believe those lies. That's why mindset matters. Mindset is what holds you steady when the ground beneath you shakes. It's what reminds you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. It's what keeps your focus forward when pain tries to drag you backward. Strength is not about avoiding pain. It's about having the mindset to keep moving through it. To say, yes, this hurts, but I'm still standing. To say, this situation isn't fair, but I'm still growing. That's a permanent mindset. A decision not to let temporary pain rob you of long-term purpose. Pain is loud, but purpose must be louder. And mindset is what turns that volume up. When you understand that pain is temporary, you stop giving it permanent space in your life. You stop building identities around what broke you. You stop repeating stories of what hurt you. You start shifting the story. You start asking, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? Who do I want to become because of this? Those questions are the language of a strong mindset. That's how you transform pain into power. A powerful mindset doesn't ignore pain. It faces it. It feels it. But it also decides not to be controlled by it. It knows that every trial has a lesson. Every wound can carry wisdom, and every loss can reveal a deeper level of resilience. When pain comes, your mindset must rise higher. Your thoughts must anchor you. Your belief must carry you. Because the body may hurt, the heart may ache, but the mind can be trained to endure, to fight, and to rise. Pain has an expiration date, but the strength, clarity, and character built through it can last a lifetime. When you stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, everything changes. Your outlook changes. Your attitude changes. Your story changes. Pain may bend you, but mindset determines whether it breaks you or builds you. Before you conquer anything outside of you, the business, the stage, the competition, the challenge, you must first conquer what's happening inside of you. Your thoughts, your emotions, your doubts, your fears. That's where the real battle begins. The greatest enemy is not the one you see, but the one that whispers in your mind. It's the voice that says you're not ready, that you're not good enough, that your past defines your future. Until you master that inner voice, it will always find a way to control the direction of your life. Most people spend their lives reacting to the world around them. They let other people's opinions, failures, and expectations shape how they feel and what they do. They chase validation. They seek approval. They look outside for what can only be built inside. True greatness doesn't come from being loud or flashy. It comes from being grounded. It comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and how to lead yourself even when everything around you feels uncertain. Mastering your inner world means developing the discipline to control your focus. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. If your mind is scattered, your life will be scattered. If your thoughts are filled with negativity, comparison, and doubt, then even the best opportunities will feel out of reach. But if you learn to focus on purpose, on growth, on what you can control, then nothing outside of you can break the power that's within you. The world will try to distract you. It will pull you toward comfort, toward fear, toward the path of least resistance. But your inner world, if mastered, becomes your compass. It tells you when to move, when to push, when to rise. It gives you clarity when the world gives you confusion. It gives you confidence when the world gives you doubt. It becomes your anchor in the storm. You can have all the talent in the world, but if your mind isn't right, that talent will be wasted. You can have all the opportunities, but if you haven't mastered your emotions, you'll sabotage every one of them. Greatness is not just skill, it's self-leadership. It's the ability to show up when you don't feel like it. It's the mindset to rise after failure. It's the awareness to silence the noise and stay true to your mission. The inner world is where habits are formed. It's where decisions are made long before the moment of pressure arrives. When you're clear in your mind, you don't panic in the moment. When you're calm within, chaos outside doesn't shake you. When you believe deeply in who you are, the world can't make you feel small. That's the power of inner mastery. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about waking up every day and choosing to lead yourself, choosing to feed your mind the right thoughts, choosing to check in with your emotions, to check full ownership of your choices, and to align your actions with your values. That's how you become unshakable. Not by avoiding struggle, but by becoming stronger than the struggle within. Every great leader, every high performer, every person who made an impact, they did it not just because they were skilled, but because they were centered. They didn't just rise in public, they trained in private. They built mental and emotional strength when no one was watching. They faced their insecurities. They battled their demons. And they chose growth when it would have been easier to stay comfortable. That's what greatness is made of. Not noise, not applause, but quiet, focused mastery of the mind, the heart, and the spirit.